Hey Divine Mommies, welcome to my channel. I am Crystal Divine Queen and this is my indigenous lifestyle. I help black mothers and women to create the birth experience that they truly desire, and I also aid them during their afterbirth experience too. I do all of this by providing doula services as well as using this YouTube channel, and I have ebooks, blogs, and packages on my website, myindigenousLifestyle.com. I also give affirmations and tips on my Instagram page too. But enough about me. Today I've come to share with you some things that you can do during your postpartum recovery phase to avoid falling into postpartum depression. Postpartum depression is a serious thing. It's very common, especially for black women. And a lot of times you find yourselves in situations where you don't have access to help. You don't have access to knowledge. So I wanted to share some things that you can do. You probably may not have heard of some of these things before, but these things can definitely help you to avoid falling into a postpartum depression. Alright, so let's get into this video. So postpartum recovery is no joke. There are a lot of uncertainties, there are a lot of unknowns, and it can get pretty scary. You might be at home most of the time alone with the baby. You could not have access to medical care. You could have questions and concerns, and you may not even have had a doula that you can reach out to and ask these things, or to come over and get some help. Doulas are very good at, providing you knowledge and support, and you could be without all of that, and these things can aid to postpartum depression. And postpartum depression is what we want to avoid. So now, me personally, I know with my last birth experience, that was my first time having a natural birth experience, and I was sore and I was painful on top of everything. It was a big difference from having a natural birth to having a birth where I had an epidural and I wasn't feeling any of the pain or the soreness. The recovery was definitely a difference. But I also know that right after giving birth, I had a burst of energy. That burst of energy I definitely did not get when I had the epidural, and the epidural made me numb to a lot of things, not just my body, but just numb to things that were happening after the baby was pushed out. There was definitely an opportunity for me to fall into postpartum depression, so I recognize that that can be a struggle for a woman, whether she's had an epidural or not. I've experienced it both, and I've seen the window for both. So let's get into these tips that I want to share with you of how to avoid that, okay? The first tip is to sleep as much as you can. And I know that this is easier said than done, because it's true. In the beginning, you lose out on a lot of sleep. The baby is waking up all through the night, and the baby is also wide awake during the day. And then, if you do get a chance to give the baby a nap during the day, you kind of feel like, all right, now here's my chance to do this. I gotta do this. I gotta go here. I gotta stop here. But you really want to take that opportunity to take a nap. At least one nap a day will do you wonders. But sleep as much as you can. And I know it's hard, but when the baby is asleep, go to sleep. Force yourself to go to sleep. Get as much sleep as you can. Now, my second tip is to breastfeed your baby. Why? Because it releases the hormone oxytocin. Oxytocin does wonders for postpartum recovery. It's not just a hormone that benefits you during labor. It also continues to benefit you during your afterbirth experience. Even if you are just exclusively pumping, understand that the act of breastfeeding is what releases the hormone oxytocin. So that is still a good thing to do, exclusively pumping. But the oxytocin hormone is great. It helps with your uterus to contract. It sends those extra signals to the body. It contracts more, and it helps your belly to go down faster and your uterus to reach its normal size faster. And there are so many benefits of oxytocin for not only mom and her uterus, but for her baby as well. And I created a breastfeeding guide actually, and it's the ultimate breastfeeding guide. It doesn't matter if you're a first time breastfeeder or if you breastfeed 3 or 4 times. If you're getting ready to have that fifth baby, I recommend that you get a copy of my breastfeeding guide, because I go into detail about the hormone, but I talk about everything else as well. Like everything you need to know before you start breastfeeding will be in this guide, including the little things that we don't really hear about. So the link to that is always in my description box below. Go ahead and check that out. But breastfeeding is a very good thing because it releases that hormone oxytocin. My third thing that I want to share for you, okay, you're going to be sore. You're going to be in pain after you give birth. And depending on your birth experience, that can last anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. I do not recommend that you exercise right away. Allow your body to heal, allow your womb and your uterus to recover. Just do things to support that, and exercising right away will not support it. Contrary to belief, I know that we all want to snap back as soon as possible, but don't worry about that. Your snapback will come. Hold off on the exercising. Allow your uterus to return to its normal size and the pain and the soreness to go away. Make sure your body is ready to handle exercise, and just start off light and pick it up as you go. My fourth tip is to just be mindful of the foods that you eat. I know that after you have a baby, you're kind of like, oh yes, I can finally eat the foods that I want to eat. But just be mindful that your womb is in a healing state, and the foods that you eat, the foods that you feed her, they're either going to aid in her health or it's going to aid in the destruction of her recovery. Also, remember that the foods you eat affect the baby, especially if you're breastfeeding. Everything you eat when you're breastfeeding, goes through the baby in their breast milk. So it affects the baby as well if you are breastfeeding. You want to be eating foods that are healthy in the very beginning to aid in the recovery, a healthy recovery of your uterus postpartum. My next tip kind of goes along with that, and it's that you can continue to take prenatal vitamins or supplements. You can take prenatal vitamins before you're even pregnant. I made a whole video about what the purpose is for prenatal vitamins, so if you haven't checked that out, check it out so you can learn all the great benefits. I also made a really good video on prenatal vitamins and what you should include in your prenatal vitamins, along with all the benefits of prenatal vitamins. And you can take prenatal vitamins before or after birth as well, but just keep in mind that it's just a supplement. It is not supposed to be your only source of vitamins and minerals, okay? So it's very important to make sure you're eating foods that are healthy for you. My next tip is to drink a lot of water, okay? Water is so good for you, and you will find yourself dehydrated, especially if you're breastfeeding. I know when I breastfed, I would always have me a cup of water or something beside me, because even in the midst of breastfeeding, I could just feel my body, getting dehydrated and just needing some water. So drink a lot of water when you are going through postpartum. Get you a goal. Find you a water bottle that's not real small and fill it up every day and say, okay, every day I just got to finish this water bottle. But do whatever it is you must do so that you are getting plenty of water a day. And you have to pay attention to it, even if you are a water drinker, because sometimes, we're like, oh yeah, I drink water, but how much water are you drinking? You need extra water on top of what would normally be okay for you if you were not in a postpartum recovery phase. All right, and the last thing I want to share with you is to ask for help if you need help. If help is available, please ask for help, and to make yourself aware ahead of time what the symptoms and the signs of postpartum depression look like. It's a very serious thing. You don't want to take this as a joke, especially if you've never dealt with postpartum before and you've never had a baby before. Make yourself familiar with that ahead of time, because it can happen to you, and you want to avoid that. You want to avoid depression, period. But you want to avoid it during your postpartum period, because it not only affects you, the very next person that it's going to affect is your baby. All right, so Thank you guys so much for tuning into my video. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell so you can turn on my notifications. I hope that this video was helpful for you and you learned something and you gained something from this video. And you know, browse my channel. I'm pretty sure you'll find another video that will resonate with you, okay? Thank you again, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.